What up, everybody? It's Eric, Underdogs of Addiction. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Eazy, the legendary Bay Area rapper, someone who I've been a fan of since I discovered his music, which is a kind of a pretty cool story about how I discovered it. Eazy is a Caucasian rapper from the Bay Area. From what I know, both of his parents were artists. I think both of his parents were professors or something like that in college. I don't know exactly, but he came from very creative parents. He has an amazing story, and this video was about Eazy's struggles with addiction, from what he's talked about and what I've seen. A lot of people know Eazy as a party rapper. He openly talks about, getting messed up and partying and having fun. And to be honest, like, we're the same age. So I partied to a lot of his music. I got high on blow to a lot of his music, especially his album, The Beautiful and the Damned. I mean, that was like my party anthem. And so, coming up in our 20s, we think that partying is what we're supposed to do when you're famous. I mean, you're getting paid to do it. But I'm here to talk about Eazy opening up about the dark side. And the irony is, like, when Eazy put out his album, his last album, he had a record called Wanna Be Myself. And I would play that song just before I went to treatment. I was in the darkest part of my life. I was using a lot of cocaine and drinking. I was selling drugs. And I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know who I was. And I couldn't feel. I was just numb. And I remember listening to that song, and there's lines like, my anxiety gets higher the higher that I climb. And he thought that this shit would get easier with time. And he talks about, like, how, he goes, 50,000 people in the crowd, but I don't feel like anybody sees me. This is definitely one of Eazy's most vulnerable records. He talks about how, like, he's hooking up with all these women and he has a different girl every night, but yet he has a irrational fear that he's going to die alone. Letting us know that the lifestyle of money, sex, and drugs and all these hookup cultures doesn't really fill your soul. And I really appreciate Eazy for fucking being vulnerable and being honest, because so many people look up to him. And for him to make a song like that, which really didn't get promoted a lot because obviously it's a fucking real ass song about addiction, and some people don't want to hear that. But for those who want to listen, it really has a unique perspective and message in it, and it really touched me. And I actually met Eazy in 2016 at When It's Dark Out listening party during my own success. I had a successful YouTube music career, and that was kind of like the height of my success. And I was able to get to a listening party in Seattle. I didn't really actually talk to him. I was just like in the front row, and like we made eye contact, and I loved the new album. And then, like, when he was walking out, he kind of looked at me, and I said, "What's up?" And that was that. That was like my only interaction. But like, my family's from the Bay Area. My family's from Oakland and Sacramento, and so I always fucked with him even more because the Bay was kind of like the only place I ever traveled to as a kid, because we were pretty poor. So the Bay was always kind of like, I looked at that as like a second home or whatever, because I'm from Washington, Olympia, Washington, Seattle area. And what I'm getting at is, I'm a big believer in that trauma is the cause of addiction, and that's backed by Dr. Gabor Mate, who I reference a lot. And if you listen to Eazy's music, he talks about a lot of trauma, especially in that song Everything Will Be Okay. And he talks about, like, in interviews, about how, like, he was crying in the booth and it was really hard for him to make that song. And like, that was a beautiful record. And then there's other songs like Just Believe from his early work that I really loved. I'm always a big fan of Eazy's music because he's very dynamic, and he can make that party record, but he also can make you cry, and he could talk about some real shit. And in those records, one of the records he talks about, his mom being lesbian, and you know, kind of how that confused him, and then getting close with that his mom's girlfriend, and then walking into her death, and how that traumatized him, and talks about, you know, being poor, and, you know, him and his mom and brother living in a room at their grandmother's, and just all the struggles of that. And you know, Jeezy's definitely somebody who has a lot of childhood trauma, and I could just relate to this little bit of success I had in the music industry. Is that I see that in him, is he's a very talented, hardworking guy, but he's also somebody who had a big, huge hole in his heart. It could have been from his parents' divorce. It could be from being a white boy growing up in the hood. You know, like Jeezy's, he's got his black card, man. Like, he's a street dude, man. Like, people respect him in Oakland. Like, you know, and you know, I think that there's just a lot of trauma there that maybe I'm sure he's aware of, but you know, and now, you know, the passing of his mother, which everyone knows the beauty of the relationship he had with his mom. It was just a beautiful thing. I actually made a comment on it under my name's Eric Simmons on his Instagram, and I just was being honest, because Jeezy's, like, his music was like a soundtrack to my life for years, and many other people, and I just left a genuine comment and actually got a ton of likes. I think it got a couple hundred likes or something. And you know, he had a beautiful relationship with his mom and his brother, and he always took them out on tour, especially his mom, and she passed away, and one of her dying wishes is that he went and got help, you know. And you know, I'm not sure how G is doing now. I'm sure he's still struggling, I don't know, you know, but I just want to let you know, G, if you are watching this video, man, like, no one could really understand what it's like to walk in your shoes unless they're on that level of fame. But I just want you to know that, you know, all the fame and all the attention and all the things that you've deeply wanted, you never needed, and that you always had enough in your heart, and that you were always good enough. And your gift as an artist is beautiful, and you should continue to do that, but you don't need the world's recognition. And I know the world's recognition is the biggest drug of them all, but you need to learn how to love that kid who is scared, that kid who is traumatized, and let him know that he's okay, and do the work on yourself. Not saying you haven't already. You have a big platform, man, and you can change the world with your platform. And so I hope the best for you. And like I said, once again, like all artists are very sensitive, and you know, a lot of artists struggle with anxiety and depression because of our sensitivity. And you know, we're still lucky to have Eazy, that he's still here with us at 34 years old, the same age as me, that he's still here. And I hope that his mother's death inspires him to continue to change. And you know, we just wish the best for him. And so I hope you guys got something out of that video. Love y'all, and take care.